Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mike here. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about energy vampires, people who drain your energy. And you know these people, and I always tell others that you're in the presence of an energy vampire whenever you feel it, because you can always feel it down in here. And you can always feel that there's somebody who enters the room and it's like they need all the attention, they want all the attention, and they might even be very vocal about it. Now, that you might find that a little bit comical, but it's true. You know, people that need that attention, and it's not just the attention, but these are individuals in whom are so out of tune with themselves that they feel on a subconscious level the only way that void is going to be filled is if they take it from others, if they take the energy and efforts from others. And some people will go as far as even trying to take the credit for somebody else's work. Now that's on a very toxic level, in my opinion. But I always tell people, because people ask, Mike, how do I know if I'm dealing with those kind of people? And I said, you're always going to know it by the feeling. And how do we do that? We scan our bodies, guys. We have to constantly scan our bodies for how they're feeling. Whenever you're in the presence of somebody, do you feel drained, or do you feel like they're adding to your life? Are you the one that always has to put forth 120% effort while they just sit and relax and do nothing? Are they contributing? And that's how you know, typically. Because sometimes you can have it the other way, where people will, if they know that you're a really good listener, they'll take advantage of that. And that's also an energy drainer, because they're taking advantage of the fact that you are a really good listener, and that your intention's very clear and very clean and very heartfelt. You're wearing your heart on your sleeve out here, and then you get people who unfortunately take advantage of that. And a lot of them don't, purposely take advantage. It's just that void I was talking about. They feel as if inside of them nothing's going on. There's this void that they have to fill, and the only way of filling that is to take it from you or take it from me. And that could be in the form of us listening and giving them the attention and energy that way, because you could do that. Or it could be the person whom is always sort of pawing at you. You know how like cats, whenever they really want attention, they'll get up in your face and start walking over your face, and they'll do like everything, man, like to get and gain your attention. Well, that's how I see energy vampires. And a lot of them, some of them know that they're doing it, but most of them, we must also be forgiving, because most of them don't know that they're doing it. They're just looking for something else. They're looking for a distraction. They're looking for something to come in and fill that void. We talked about the funnel, and imagine, a funnel going down into their spirit and going down all throughout their chakras, and they're looking for things outside of themselves. They're looking for all this external validation in order for them to make them feel good about themselves. And unfortunately, those behaviors are coming from the individuals in which they want nothing to do with themselves. They would never take a look in that mirror and say, what could I be doing better about myself? How could I give more instead of just take? And that's the real key. And you always know it by the feeling. And I don't think tonight we're going to go dark. I'm going to finish this video before the sun sets entirely. It's not going to be too much of a meditative episode. I just wanted to inform you guys that whenever you're dealing with these energy drainers, it's our responsibility. You got to remember this point. It's always our personal responsibility to scan our bodies. How am I feeling in my legs? How am I feeling around my chest area? Is it tight whenever I'm in the presence of this person? Do I feel uptight in any way? Scan your whole body, scan your muscles. And then once you gauge that anxiety or whatever's causing that, then if it's on the negative spectrum and you feel drained, like entirely, like, oh my gosh, I'm restless, a part of me is restless in this environment, then we must take personal ownership of that and place ourselves in better environments that cause us to expand our awareness, environments that cause us, to think of all of the possibilities of success instead of the failures, and all of the people that are complaining, and it's okay to vent. You know, it's not to say that it's not okay to listen to people, and it's not okay to help them out even and give them, you know, efforts that might boost them up. But you can always tell on a consistent level that if the energy is not right and you're not, and that energy doesn't match, leave the environment as soon as possible. You know, you really need to get out of there. And if it's a situation where you can't help it, then try to avoid that person as best as possible. Be kind, put out the good energies, but don't give them any more than what you know you should be giving them. And I only say that because we talked about the listening aspect, and once those energy vampires and those drainers, once they know they can sort of like communicate with you and get at you, so to speak, then unfortunately, subconsciously, it's like, oh my gosh, fill this void, fill this void, fill this void. And if you don't fill that void, then a lot of them actually end up turning cynical on you. And they will never admit it because they don't know what's going on a conscious level. They'll never admit this, but it's almost like they're begging for the attention because they can't find anything about themselves that they like. They would never look in the mirror. So that's the only reason why I would say you're not necessarily withholding anything from them. You are only giving more to yourself. You're not allowing somebody else to steal your power, to steal your energy. And I believe that through sleep and through proper exercise and through meditation and through listening to this material, that it charges our spirit up. But we must watch who we give our power to, because some people that we give our power to, they're not going to do anything with that power. Think about that. That's very important, because we want to make sure that whomever we're giving these powers to and the energy and attention to, that they're utilizing it on a very applicative level. I just tripped over my words big time. But I was talking about on the application level. On the application level, you want to make sure that they're equally using the material, or at the very least providing some insight back to you. And if they're not providing that insight, then all they're looking is for somebody to fill that void. It can become very toxic. It can become very negative. And if you allow it and you don't take the responsibility, say you don't, they're going to walk on you like a mat. So you must stand up. And I'm not saying to call them out on it. Don't call them out on it. Just leave the environment. You know, I like to watch a YouTuber. His name is Jake Ducey. And he says, I've heard him say this many times, and I think somebody else quoted it, but in his videos, he likes to say, whenever you're dealing with energy drainers, and maybe you're in a work situation, or you're good friends, or it's a relative, or it's a family member that you're living with, and you can't really avoid that, watch how much power you're giving them. And not only that, but don't stay as long. You know, don't go as often and don't stay as long was sort of the phrase. So just make sure that whenever you're dealing with energy vampires, there's no need to insult them. There's no need to call them out on it. You just don't go as often, don't stay as long. You know, and that's only in a situation where you can't really help it. And sometimes we do find ourselves in those situations, so we really got to be mindful. But ultimately, guys, it's our responsibility to not give them our power, because I talked about through sleep, meditation, exercise, we gain power. That was my whole point back there, was that we gain certain energies from that. You know, and there's different things that trigger energy. We talked about desire being a trigger mechanism for gaining a lot of the spiritual universal energy that's always present around us. We might not see it, but certain things will trigger more energy, make us feel really good. Sleep being the best one. You know, we must be sleeping very, very good. And placing ourselves in relaxing, meditative, soft-going environments. And the people that charge us up, we must appreciate that to the point of we're applying that on the application level. So whenever people are gifting us their energies, it's our duty to start sort of giving back to them, because, you know, the law of cause and effect, they're going to get it back to they're promised to get it back in some form or fashion anyway. But what a beautiful thing when we're dealing with somebody who is unconditionally giving his or her energy, and we immediately give it back. Think how beautiful that is. And we must give back what they have invested. And it doesn't always have to be money. Usually it's time, it's time, energy, motion, movement, attention, anything that's, it doesn't even have to be of the physical nature. It could be thought energy that you're putting out there. But some people will undoubtedly take advantage. So just be mindful. That's all I'm saying. Because we're not focusing on the negative. We're just preparing ourselves. So imagine sort of like a computer. They have most computers, the software embedded in there is a firewall. And certain malware comes into play, that firewall comes up and it says, no, it blocks it. That's how we must be with the energy vampires. But step one is being aware. So we must be aware. And I told you that's how you'll know. You scan your body. If you're ever in an environment and you're questioning it and you're like, am I around, like, is this an energy vampire here? Like, is this energy drainer? Well, that's how you're able to tell. You scan your body for how you feel. I always tell people, you will know 100% by the feeling that you get while talking to that person, or the feeling that you'll get within that culture. Say it's an environment or person or a family. You'll know with the energy within that culture and that system, if you will. So keep these things in mind, and the best way to respond is to give them love, but we don't go as often and don't stay as long.